In the early days of the Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo announced a new line of titles, dubbed the 3D Classics series. Retro games remastered with 3D in mind, released exclusively on the Nintendo 3DS eShop throughout 2011 and 2012 for roughly 5 to 7 bones a pop. This is such a cool idea. Imagine the possibilities. This line can truly go on forever. They can include some of the greatest games of all time. I fucking love this company! Remakes were Nintendo's answer to validating 3D in the 3DS's early days. Ocarina of Time 3D, Star Fox 64 3D. What better way to show how it can enhance something than by using it with something we all know inside and out? But these games were already 3D in terms of polygons. How do you take a 2D game and convert that to scopic stereos? Well, Nintendo knew exactly who to get on the phone. Eureka! They made Endless Ocean and Dr. Mario Express. No shit, they know what they're doing. With that, development of the 3D Classics line kicked off all the way back in 2009, which 2 years seems like an extraordinary amount of development time for that. I guess it just goes to show what seems like the easiest things to make in the game industry, well, they can often be the toughest. Bringing a game over to a new platform, yet most assume there was an Amazon Dash button for that. In reality, it's a ton of work, and these 3D Classics were a similar story. They had to rebuild these retro games from the ground up, while also taking how they would work in 3D into consideration now. The results? Well, let's check out the first game of the lineup, 3D Classics Excitebike. This was initially seen at E3 2010 amongst 17 other classic games showcased in a demo titled Classic Games. Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Punch-Out, NES Open Tournament Golf, Kirby's Adventure, Tennis, The Mysterious Murasame Castle, Twin Bee, Kid Icarus, Urban Champion, Mega Man 2, Castlevania, Smash Ping Pong, Super Mario World, and Yoshi's Island were showcased in addition to Excitebike, all with a 3D effect. Now, these weren't playable demos, it was merely just showing the games running in 3D. The background usually just kinda sunk in. But considering nearly all the 3D Classics titles were a part of this demo, may imply that these were being considered for the series as well. In fact, the 3D Classics developers outright stated Tennis for NES was being worked on in the series, but it was scrapped due to just not being that appealing in 3D. Maybe because it just wasn't that appealing in general. Regardless, 3D Classics Excitebike was made available right at the Nintendo 3DS's eShop launch, which occurred on June 6th, 2011. And for the first month, it was completely free to download as a way to thank 3DS users for putting up with the fact the eShop wasn't available until 4 months after they got their damn systems. The 3DS was released in an incomplete and overpriced state, but they gave me Excitebike for free, bitches! In actuality, I was one of the schmucks who waited until August 2011 to buy their 3DS when the price dropped from $250 to $170. That was quite the discount, but because of that, I missed out on the 3DS Ambassador program, which gave those who bought the system for $250 before August 10 free downloadable NES games valued at $5 a piece, 10 free downloadable Game Boy Advance games valued at $7 a piece, and I missed out on free Excitebike and had to buy it for $6. Did I save money or not? It's been a while since I used the 3D effect on a 3DS. I used to go all in with this sucker, full 3D to the max. Christ, it's just the title screen, and this is one of the most loud 3D effects in the 3DS library. It's just so 3D. That's probably because not only can you use the 3D slider to adjust the intensity, there's in-game 3D controls too, so you can gouge your eyes out, but you can gouge your eyes out just a little bit more. Go the extra mile. Interestingly, 3D Classics Excitebike has the entire background change perspective with the adjustment of the 3D slider. Like, you literally see more of it when it cranks up. Most of the time, adjusting the slider in 3DS games just feels like adjusting the audio's volume, you know? It just increases or decreases the 3D effect, nothing major. This title, it literally moves the background further and further within the game, which is really cool. It's a level of control I never associated with the 3D slider, but it's here. The game itself, it's Excitebike. Don't look. This is an undeniably nearly flawless recreation of the original NES game from 1985, though now it's in widescreen with a few other graphical improvements. Certain obstacles are rendered in 3D now, and it all runs so much smoother. You have analog control, meaning you can pop a wheelie, or just kind of pop a wheelie. It all adds up to the game having a much smoother feel than ever before. However, the game having these 3D obstacles, well, they're only really in 3D when the 3D slider is on. What the developers did was fundamentally make the game exactly like the 2D original when the slider is down all the way. But when you crank it up more and more, it strays farther and farther. It's really bizarre. Some scenes, specifically the menus, are still in a pseudo 4x3 letterbox, which is strange considering these were remade from scratch. They didn't have to be constrained to 4x3, but they chose to. And they chose to do it with the easiest part of the game to make widescreen. Like, wouldn't the actual game be the hardest to turn widescreen, and this menu with a one color background, couldn't that be done during a lunch break? I don't care, I mean, it looks fine. It's not like they kept kept black bars there. They spruced it up. It's just confusing to me. The biggest upgrade though has to be the track editor. Excitebike infamously had a track editor that was a bit of a nightmare to use, and as a bonus, was pointless. You couldn't save your tracks. It gave you the option to save, but that just meant for as long as your game was turned on, because when you turn it off, I got pissed for you. 3D Classics Excitebike gives you numerous slots to save multiple tracks to. The interface has been completely revamped in such a smart way, where you can shift through parts more elegantly. However, if you still want to use the editor in the style of the original, you have that option. At the end of the day, this is the definitive version of Excitebike in my opinion, and that's not even taking the 3D effect into consideration. With it is no contest. This is the way to play Excitebike. It's a fun arcade-style NES game about making jumps properly to get the best time, and now it's more realistic than ever. This title set the standard for what I expected out of the 3D Classics line from that point forward, and taking all those games Nintendo demoed at E3 2010 into consideration, I was excited. Like, come on, Super Mario World, Zelda, Mega Man 2? So many possibilities! How about Xavier, you dumb bitch?